Here again with another Shameless Season 4 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you are caught up to the point where I am, rewatching or watching Shameless, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description for you. If that happens to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. This will be Shameless Season 4, Episode 4. The title of this episode is called Strangers on a Train. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So we have Fiona on the L, and at a stop, Robbie randomly gets on the L, and eventually he sits next to Fiona, and he puts his hand in between Fiona's legs and starts to finger Fiona. And I don't know for sure if she finished or not, but eventually he stops, and then he just gets off the L, just like that. It was kind of cheesy how he knew Fiona would be on that particular, I don't know. But yeah, interesting. So Fiona talks to V about what happened, and Fiona says, "It's over. I'm done doing that." And V hopes so because she doesn't want to be Dr. Phil anymore. The kids aren't very nice to Fiona in the morning. Debbie and Carl specifically. And Frank has to get put on the transplant pro bono list, as it's going to be $150,000 for getting a new liver if he's able to get one, because he does not have insurance. So he can't just set up to get a new liver. He has to be on this list. And yeah, he has to go through a lot. So Lip has to put on wet clothes because somebody took his clothes out of the dryer and he was getting ready to take a test, but he didn't give himself a lot of time in case something happens. So Lip ends up arriving 6 minutes late, and he put those wet pants on, and then he went back to his room, and his roommate had locked the door and left. So because he was 6 minutes late, his professor won't let him in and won't let him take the test because he was late. Mickey's mad at the price that Svetlana is getting for her services. Frank tells he says, he tells them that to tell Sasha to go fuck himself. Frank tells Carl he wants him to break his leg, and Carl wants to put it on YouTube, and Frank says no. They look at a bunch of different scenarios, and all those scenarios are much worse than breaking the leg specifically. It would be a lot of pain. So Debbie tells Holly that her and Maddie didn't exactly have sex. Lip talks to Dean Wheeler about trying to retake the test. Because he's unable to take the test, he smashes a bunch of car windows. Like all these cars, he just goes crazy and smashes them all. Mickey goes to speak to Sasha, and he finds out that Sasha is actually a woman and not a man, and he tells her his terms for the girls coming back to work. Sasha declines, and because she's got a truck full of more girls that are younger, more tighter, and will do it probably for less money than Svetlana and all her friends. Robbie's texting Fiona inappropriate things while she's at the office, even while Mike's talking to her, and the girls are pissed at Mickey because they don't have work now. Carl actually drugs Frank's soup, and Debbie goes to talk to Mandy Milkovich. And Mandy says just to let him know that you're ready. So Carl ends up duct taping a bunch of free weights on himself and then jumps from a chair onto Frank's leg and breaks Frank's leg. Fiona goes over to Robbie's place. Her and Robbie start having sex, and Mike comes over to talk to Robbie about him asking their father for money. And Fiona's hiding under the table all this time, and he doesn't actually rush Mike out. He just talks to him for a long time, and Fiona's mad at that. Lip comes over to Mandy's place. "You look good," he tells Mandy, and Mandy says, "My boyfriend says so." Random destruction makes Lip think of Mandy. He misses Mandy, so Lip and Mandy start having sex. But Lip, unfortunately, doesn't last very long at all, and Mandy wants money for the pill. And Lip thinks it would be a good idea that they might have a young one, and Mandy has no interest in a kid. Mandy calls Lip a shithead, and he calls her a skank, and Mandy decks Lip. Fiona tells Robbie, "Don't ever come near me again." Debbie takes a picture of tits in one of Carl's dirty magazines and sends that picture to Maddie, and then he immediately says, "Come over." Carl takes Frank to Sheila's place and sets him on the ground. And Lip stops by the alibi, and of course Kev's happy to see him. And Debbie goes to Maddie's place. She wants to have sex with him, but she's only 13. Debbie leaves pissed that Maddie won't have sex with her due to her age. V tells Fiona that she wanted a hit. That's why she went over to Robbie's place, and that's why she had sex with him. And she even keeps checking her phone to see if Robbie texted her. Kev tells Lip to grow a pair, tough it out, you're resourceful, and you'll figure it out. And Kev also tells Lip there's no one better at beating the system than you are. This isn't your home, it's where you grew up at. Like, you don't have to stay here, you can do more things. Debbie takes the kid that Holly was hanging out with into the bathroom, and she's going to have sex with him in the bathroom. Carl takes Frank over to Sammy's place, and Carl's like, "I got this, kid." And then Debbie gets cold feet and can't do this with this friend of Holly's. Sammy tells Frank that she's not a match, and this gets Frank really upset. And then Frank lets it slip that she's his daughter. Mickey wants Keb to rent out the apartment above the alibi, Stan's old place, out for the hookers to do their deeds. And Fiona hears Debbie cry, so she goes to talk to her. And Debbie says something about her boyfriend. And then back at the alibi for Frank, and Sammy actually followed him there. And she asked, did he ever think about her? And Frank says no, but he will now. And then Sammy bonds with Frank, and Frank buys Sammy at her request a drink. So I'm not really sure why Sammy all of a sudden forgave Frank, but she did. That doesn't make any sense. From her freaking out when he had mentioned to her that she's his daughter, to all of a sudden being cool with him at the alibi after a couple punches to the shoulder, but nothing that would hurt. Well, Frank is kind of delicate. And then Lip, we see, is outside waiting for his college professor that wouldn't let him take that test. And he actually convinces the professor to let him in and take the test. And we do have a mid-credits scene of Frank at Sammy's. She's showing him pictures, or maybe it's a yearbook with pictures, either like a photo album or a yearbook of her graduation. And he says he wishes he was there. And Sammy says, "You're here now," while he all of a sudden has an erection. And Frank says to ignore that. And that's what ends the episode. So I liked this episode. I like where the story is going. I know at some point it gets terrible because I've seen the show once all the way through. But right now I'm definitely having a fun time watching Shameless. So I'm going to score the episode an 8.6 out of 10. My male character of the episode is going to be Lip. Lip was really good in this episode. Kev, I liked that he gave Lip advice and he kind of talked some sense into Lip, and then Lip ended up going out and waiting for his professor 2 hours early, might I add. And then the female character of the episode, I mean, you could give it to Sammy, you could give it to Debbie, you could give it to Fiona. Because of the events that happen and the importance of these events that will eventually probably affect her job, I'm going to give the female character of the episode to Fiona Gallagher. So you've heard what I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Shameless and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, make sure that you Hulk smash that like button. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section about what your thoughts are on this episode. What would you rate this episode? If you had to pick, who would be your male and female character of the episode? I'm going to put my Shameless series finale rant video right here. I Obviously, watch this show all the way through. If you've watched every single episode and want to hear my thoughts about the Shameless series finale rant, one of the worst finales of all time, check on that or click on that video. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.